Here we go.
Well, good morning. Before making opening comments myself, I want to turn the podium over to Senator Barbara Boxer, who has been a stalwart partner with us ever since we discovered 100,000 people being poisoned in the city of Flint and the crisis that has occurred. And Senator Boxer and her partner, Senator Inhofe, have been extraordinary in working with us, and I know she's on a time crunch, so we want to give our leader an opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Senator Boxer.
Thank you, Senator. And thanks to this Michigan delegation for their passion and their fight and their never give up attitude, because we can't give up, because we've got a lot of kids depending on us. I speak here as the ranking member on the Environment and Public Works Committee, who, after Hurricane Katrina and every kind of crisis that impacted the people of this country, was right up there as if it had happened in my own state. And there isn't anyone who will tell you that when we had Katrina and we have these floods, that I'm not there with the people of Louisiana as I'm with, everybody. That's my job as ranking member here. Yes, I'm always the senator from California, but I have a broader responsibility to make sure that the Clean Water Act is interpreted correctly, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Air Act, etc. Now, I'm here to briefly talk because I'm going to run down to the floor and give a similar statement on the floor, but a broader statement. The continuing resolution that has been put forward by Mitch McConnell fails the people of Flint, Michigan. Republicans put funds in the CR for people in some states hit by natural disasters, but they did nothing for the families of Flint who've been suffering for over 2 years from a man-made disaster. That is unacceptable. How can we trust the Republicans when they say they'll take care of Flint in the WRDA bill, the Water Resources Development Act? First, they rejected the Kildee amendment, and Congressman will explain that. That would have taken care of Flint in the House Rules Committee just yesterday. It would have allowed for a vote to make sure that we have taken care of Flint and other communities that get hit by lead poisoning in the WRDA bill. The chairman of that committee, Chairman Sessions, said Flint could be an earmark. First of all, it is not an earmark. Okay? Let's be clear, because that provision helps every community, thanks to the leadership of my colleagues standing right behind me, Senators Stabenow and Peters. So it's not an earmark. My point in bringing it up is if Mr. Sessions thinks it's an earmark now, he'll think it's an earmark when we go to conference, and he'll fight to keep it out of the WRDA bill. So don't say you're going to take care of WRDA in conference after you've called the provision that helps Flint, an earmark. So we can't trust the House. Then you had Chairman Schuster and Speaker Ryan say, Flint is a local matter. How ridiculous is that? There weren't even local elected officials there. The officials running Flint were from the state. Plus, they have blamed the EPA, and I know lots of people will talk about that, but suddenly they say it's a local matter. So we need more than just vague promises. They can easily pick up and pass the Senate WRDA bill and take care of Flint that way. They can commit to us in writing that they will absolutely agree to our provisions. We don't have any of that. Now, we know 12,000 kids in Flint have been exposed to lead-tainted water. They'll be dealing with harmful consequences for the rest of their lives. This is no joke. What are we supposed to be doing up here if it isn't to protect the most vulnerable people, our kids, for God's sakes? This is a tragedy, and we need to pull together. Yes, we need to help everybody affected by flooding, and we have to protect everybody affected by government horrible decisions that led to poisoning of our families. So you can't pick and choose here. Again, this is easy to fix. Take up and pass our bill. Commit to putting it in writing that it will be in the WRDA bill, or add it to the CR. We have to help people in our nation who are suffering and not pick and choose which American families we're going to help. Every one of us would do everything in our power to help every child in this country, regardless of where they live. And we are simply calling on the leadership of the Republican Party to show the American people that you know how to do your job and take care of the people who are suffering wherever they happen to live. And it's a pleasure to turn this back to Senator Stabenow. I'm going to run down to the floor and make a similar case.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And I don't
much.
think you need a little boxer box.
I don't think we do. We're going to let you go. We're going to let someone do this. So, 2 weeks ago, the families of Flint and the mayor of Flint were in town to celebrate what we thought was a major breakthrough to get help, finally, to help families who have been struggling for over 2 years in total, and since this all became apparent, for over a year now, with bottled water every day, trying to decide, do you pick it up before you go to work or after you go to work, when you're coming home, before you pick up the kids from school or drop them off from school. Constant challenges for people in Flint. And 2 weeks ago, due to efforts and support from Senator Inhofe, Senator Boxer, after 8 months of our struggling and blocking and tackling to get through objections, we had a major vote in the Senate. And I thank the Republican leader for bringing up that bill. At 95-3, we thought we were finally on our way, and the people of Flint were hopeful. And then we went to the next week, where we thought word would come up in the House, and it didn't. And then the comments started saying this should be in WRDA, but the speaker won't support it in WRDA, and the chairman won't support it in WRDA. And while all of that is happening and hopes then are dashed again, we see a short-term continuing resolution come forward that says we're going to help folks in Louisiana with flooding. Now, I'm happy to support Louisiana. We have said that from the very beginning. I understand about flooding. We just ask that the Republicans in the House and the Senate understand about lead poisoning and water, shutting down an entire city's water system of 100,000 people who have waited too long. So today, we're going to have a vote, and we're going to say we're going to send it back to the drawing board to get this right. If, in fact, the people of Flint have to wait again, then the people of Louisiana can join them in that wait to the end of the year. We don't want that. We're not suggesting that. We're suggesting that now is the time to have a sense of urgency about a set of disasters that were not created by any of the people involved. And we can do something together in a bipartisan way to actually get help to those who need it. We know in the past we have, since I have been here for 16 years, had multiple times that we have stepped up. Not only floods and hurricanes and droughts, efforts we put into the Farm Bill regarding disasters, but there was in West Texas a fertilizer plant a few years ago that blew up and created chemical exposure. It was due to malfeasance involved in running the chemical plant, and the United States Congress stepped up to help. This is no less important in the city of Flint. And so we're here today unified, all of us together, and we're so grateful the Congressional Black Caucus for their leadership in stepping up and their powerful voices, and all of our colleagues that have been joining us to say enough is enough. We have offered something that is totally paid for. The Louisiana effort is not paid for by eliminating a program. Ours is. There is no excuse, none, for not including this provision and saying to the people of Flint, we see you, we hear you, we care about you, and we're here to help. Senator Peters.
Thank you, Senator Stabenow. And I tell you, it is something that we're here again before all of you talking about this issue. This is something that we have been talking about for months, for over a year. Senator Stabenow talked about the families that came to Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago, and if you hear their stories, you know that this is an issue that has not gone away, continues to impact families in incredibly horrific ways, and will not go away for decades. And the people of Flint need help. We heard from one young mother who spoke to us, and she spoke to us with tears streaming down her face, and talked about her young daughter who, when she bites into a ham sandwich, her teeth crack and crumble as a result of the lead. The fact that her lead levels spike and go down back and forth, continually not in control. We heard from families who don't trust the water, and they have filters but live in fear every day whether or not to give that water to their infant, to their elderly parent, to the entire family. A city is crumbling as we speak. The people of Flint need help now. Now, we have heard that the folks in Louisiana are in a really difficult spot because of the flooding. And my heart goes out to the people of Louisiana. Everyone behind me, our heart goes out to the people of Louisiana. And we agree with those folks who say the people of Louisiana cannot wait. I agree. Let's take action. But let's not pick and choose who we take action for. Let's have the people of Flint in that as well. Because in this country, we represent the entire country. We are blessed to serve in the United States Congress and represent an entire country. We don't pick cities. We don't pick states. When American people are suffering, we need to come together as a body and understand that we're there to help them. That a child who is growing up in Flint and is living in fear doesn't know if it's a man-made or a natural disaster. They just know it is a disaster. And it's up to us to step up to do it. And what is so frustrating about this for me, but as frustrating it is for all of us here, it is nothing, absolutely nothing compared to the people of Flint and what they have gone through over these months. And so they see a piece of legislation come out of the Senate with 95 senators. That doesn't happen very often. That you get 95 senators that come together and vote on a piece of legislation that will help them, will be able to pull those pipes, put in clean pipes into the city of Flint, and do that's completely paid for those folks who don't want to add to the deficit. We'd like to not add to the deficit as well. It's fully paid for. This should be something that is very easy. And if we can't do something that is this easy, it is why the American people have such scorn for this body and for the leadership when you can't put together a piece of legislation that's fully paid for, will bring help to people, and we already know has strong bipartisan support in the Senate. So I'm really pleased to be here with my House colleagues as well. You can see we are united with folks in the House, not just from the state of Michigan, but across the country. And we will continue to have this fight to put it in the CR. I can tell you the people of Flint cannot wait any longer. They should not wait any longer. We shouldn't expect families to come back to Washington again after they've made repeated trips. We need to send a signal that help is on the way. The state certainly needs to do a whole lot more, and we're pushing for that as well. But we can do our part right now. Paid for, fully paid for, strong bipartisan support in the Senate, and we can do both. We can help the people of Louisiana and we can help the people of Flint, and not to help both would be a gross injustice and one that we can avoid very easily in the next couple days. I want to introduce the champion for his district, Dan Kildee. We'll talk about his efforts.
Thank you. First, let me thank Senator Stabenow, Senator Peters, my House colleagues who have stood with me from the very beginning on this. Flint is my home. Born and raised there. Everything I have I owe to the people of my hometown. And so to see Flint go through this crisis in the first place breaks my heart. But to see some in Congress, and even some certainly in state government, but to see some in Congress treat Flint in the same manner that caused this crisis in the first place, it's too much for me to take. And the message that people of Flint get when they see action like what we've seen here, when we see a spending bill which clearly provides help for people facing crisis exclude Flint, when we see a water resources bill intended to deal with this sort of problem exclude Flint in the House, the message to the people of Flint is loud and clear. You don't matter. That's what they hear. They hear that they don't matter. We're here to say they do. And we're going to use every tool we have to make sure they get the help that they deserve. A brief civics lesson for some of our colleagues in Congress. The city of Flint is in the United States of America. They are Americans. We come together for one another when we are in crisis. One of the first votes I cast when I came here was to support the people who were suffering as a result of Hurricane Sandy. Hundreds of miles from my district. I was proud to support those folks because they're Americans and they needed us. The same is true for the people of Flint. Last point I make before I turn it over to some of my colleagues here from the House. It is difficult for me to accept logic that goes like this. When we are debating the continuing resolution, Republican leadership says, this really belongs in a different bill. Talk about it in the continuing resolution. When we are debating the continuing resolution, they say, you know, this is really a water resources bill. It should be in WRDA. They can't have it both ways. I went to the Rules Committee last night with an amendment that took the precise language that Senator Peters, Senator Stabenow insisted be included in the Senate WRDA bill, and it passed 95-3. Took that same language to the Rules Committee, and the message was, Mr. Kildee, not so fast. What message does that send to the people of Flint? What are we supposed to take from that? So I will say this. It is my position and a position of a growing number of members of the House that we will not support a continuing resolution that does not include Flint. So the question that Speaker Ryan has to answer and others who are blocking this is why are they willing to take us to the point of shutting down the government of the United States in order to prevent people from getting help in Flint that's already paid for, that has a pay for included in it. It makes no sense at all. We're not going to tolerate this. We're standing strong. Our senators are, and my colleagues in the House. And so I want to ask now the Dean of the House of Representatives, my friend, Mr. Conyers, to come forward.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one issue around which I would pray for some bipartisanship. If there was one thing only that I could get, it would be around this issue, because this would show that the common good triumphs over partisanship. And the picture that's now being drawn is one of selfishness and ignoring the plight of so many people. And this could happen to anybody in any state under the same circumstances. And that's what we're trying to make sure doesn't happen. And so I want to praise my senators and the colleagues that are here that this is making it clear. It's a fundamental 101 political lesson for the whole country to absorb, because this could happen to anybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Lawrence, or Representative Lawrence.
Representative Lawrence. I just want to say,
Yeah.
I just want to say that today the Senate is scheduled to vote on whether to proceed with a CR that Majority Leader McConnell filed that would fund the government only through December 9th. Unfortunately, the Republicans refused to include assistance to Flint, Michigan. I sit on the House Oversight Committee, and you know I fought really hard to bring forth a hearing. We took a delegation, multiple delegations to Flint, because we did not want us to be at this point and have a member of Congress, of this Congress, naive about the importance of funding of the Flint crisis. The CR includes $500 million for states with flood emergencies, but not the $220 million that Congressman Kildee is asking for, by which is paid for. The Republicans say that Flint is best handled by the state and local institutions. I consider this a slap in the face, because why are we here today? It's because of the same poor decision-making by local and state governments that led to the poisoning of tens of thousands of Flint residents. I'm proud to stand here today and join my Congressional Black Caucus members and to join my Congressional Progressive Caucus and my Democratic Caucus to say, if we have no funding for Flint, no CR. And we're saying that with our eyes wide open. We're saying, do your job. Understand that the citizens of these United States, which includes a population that need clean water, we say in so many ways that we're committed to investing in the infrastructure, and we legislate and write policies for clean water. Here we have an opportunity to stand up as a Congress and to keep our word to the American citizens and to provide in our CR the funding that will provide pipes and give the citizens of the United States who happen to reside in Flint, Michigan, clean water. I firmly urge my Republican colleagues to do the right thing and to include assistance to Flint. I want to thank you and close by saying no funding for Flint, no CR. Thank you.
Yes.
And then,
Congressman Levin.
hi. Well, I've been here 34 years now and voted for many disaster bills. Almost all of them had a dimension, including a local dimension. So many of them had an aspect where there was a man-made or person-made element to them. And so when the Speaker says this would be a bad precedent, the dangerous precedent and a stain on this institution would be going home and not voting for this. And let me just add one thing. Dan Kildee has spelled out how they're saying it's one or the other. That could lead to none. And I think what's happening here with the Republican majority, and that is they're essentially passing the buck without passing the monies. And that is not sustainable, I say to the Speaker, either in terms of fact or conscience. So we're here to say, if the money is not provided before we leave this week, we're not leaving. Debbie Dingle. Well, I think Debbie, we're going to wind up with with the gentleman from Virginia who's going to show the universal aspect of this. Debbie?
Congresswoman Dingle.
I'm going to be quick. American people are tired of partisan bickering. It's what Donald Trump talks about. I want to see Donald Trump fight for the Flint water. The people, we can't, these aren't partisan battles when we are extending a hand out to communities in need. We've fought about this for too long. We shouldn't be here talking to you today. The Michigan delegation's united with, by the way, Louisiana and Florida. When it's time to put out a helping hand and help, you have a moral responsibility, not a time for partisan bickering. Thank you.
Thank you. Congresswoman Bobby Scott, thank you.
Thank you. We started with the ranking member of
Yes.
infrastructure on the Senate side and the ranking member of the Education Workforce Committee on the House side. We are working sometimes in a bipartisan manner to guarantee an equal educational opportunity for our children. The Supreme Court in the Brown v. Board of Education case said that it is doubtful that any child may reasonably be expected to succeed in life if denied the opportunity of an education. Such an opportunity is a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. And here we have the situation in Flint. We know that no amount of lead is a safe level. We know that children in Flint were exposed to extraordinary levels of lead in their drinking water, and we know that this problem was caused by government officials. Now, fortunately, there are things we can do to mitigate the damage done to the children by this catastrophe. There are things that we can do. First of all, we can clean up the water to make sure it doesn't get worse. But then we can provide prenatal care and nutrition and early childhood education and special education, Title I funding, to make sure that the damage done to the children can be mitigated. We know that, and that the amount of money we're talking about, we could spend a lot more than we're offering now, but we ought to make the first step. We caused the problem. We've got to do everything we can to mitigate the damage.
Thank you so much, and thanks to all of our colleagues for joining us today and for being involved in this fight. Happy to take any questions. Yes.
Senator Stabenow, can you respond to John Cornyn's comments this morning that said that the Flint aid would have to be in WRDA, and kind of, or many Republicans' promises that it would, work itself out in conference?
Well, first of all, we have no assurances from the House of Representatives, as you heard. The Speaker actually not willing to give assurances. An amendment by Congressman Kildee that was rejected yesterday in the Rules Committee. The ranking member that will be negotiating, Senator Boxer, indicating there are no assurances. What Senator Cornyn was saying on the floor is that they wanted to help Louisiana now. They didn't trust and let Louisiana wait. We want to help Louisiana now, but the people of Flint will continue to have to wait and trust a process where we have no commitments and no assurances. So it makes no sense at all what Senator Cornyn was saying on the floor today. If the rationale is that a water issue in Flint should be in WRDA, then a water issue in Louisiana should be in WRDA as well.
That's called passing the buck in simple English, instead of providing them. And there's no assurance that the money will be in the House bill in WRDA.
Right.
So they're
No commitments have been made, despite, if they were operating in good faith, Congressman Kildee's amendment would have been put in order last night.
That's right.
exactly.
And if I,
Other question? Yeah.
if I
Yes.
just to add too, the thing that I think is outrageous about that statement is the time. Is that if it goes to conference, we're talking well into the lame duck, who knows, for all the uncertainty that my colleagues mentioned, but we can't wait any longer. No. This is an immediate problem that has been immediate for a year or more, and we cannot wait any longer. The people of Flint need to see the resources are coming. They need to see light at the end of the tunnel where the construction work can begin. These pipes can be pulled out and put in clean pipes. Mm-hmm. It is unconscionable to make the people of Flint wait any longer than they've already waited.
Yes.
This concept of getting a commitment in writing is new. Can you give us a little bit more detail about exactly what you would like to see? Would it be specifically the Senate package that you would want a commitment for?
What we want is the Flint package to be in the CR.
Yeah.
It's fully paid for. There is no excuse not to do that. We should not tolerate picking and choosing between water disasters. We support what's being put forward for Louisiana and for others, but we can't accept it unless the people of Flint who've waited the longest have the same help.
Let me comment on that. Thank you. The commitment in writing needs to come in the form of a bill on the president's desk. Around here, that's the kind of commitment in writing that actually means Flint is going to get help, especially when so far the language that I hear from the Speaker or the House Majority Leader says this bill or this language really belongs in WRDA. That's what they said yesterday. And then last night, on that very same day, under the direction of the Speaker, they refused to put that language in WRDA. So what they're saying is this belongs in WRDA, except we're not going to put it in WRDA. They can write it down or they can say it, but clearly by their actions, we can't trust it. The only thing we can trust is a commitment to put this language in the continuing resolution and get it to the president's desk. His signature is a commitment in writing that I can trust.
And bottom line, you should be asking the Republicans, what is the big deal? This is fully paid for. It could pass by unanimous consent, a voice vote. It could pass in multiple ways. What is the problem here? What is the difference between the people of Flint and the people of Louisiana and other crises that have come before us? That's the question.
Senator, just so we're crystal clear on this, you and Senator Peters, you will not support a CR, any spending bill that does not include the Flint funding to the point that it, and fellow Democrats will stand behind you to the point that it may prompt a shutdown.
We will vote no today on the CR in front of us, and then we'll look for the opportunity to work with colleagues to fix this grievance, and that's what we are saying.
Are there solutions other than having it in the CR?
Yes, and I'm not going to negotiate those in public, but the question is making sure we help the people of Flint and to get attention to do that. Just as we unfortunately had to stop an energy bill back in February from moving forward to get attention for people in Flint, that resulted in the bipartisan package we have today. We unfortunately are in the same situation again, where we have to stop the process in order to be able to solve this problem.
Last question. Senator, one of the Democratic grievances with the McConnell proposal is the SEC provision. Would you be willing to accept that provision in there if Senator McConnell then adds Flint?
Well, we're not going to negotiate in public. That's an outrageous provision to continue to protect dark money from corporations, which goes to a larger question about what's happening in our country and our democracy and our elections. So that's also a serious issue. But for us, right now, I mean, we want to make sure folks in Flint can turn on the faucet and have the confidence, like any other American, that the water that comes out is safe. Thanks
Let me just say, as we finish, as a member of the House, we're not going to let Flint be held hostage to pass other terrible provisions. And I want to say about shutdown, it would be the Republicans who would shut down this government because they're unwilling to face up to the need to act on Flint. It's their responsibility.
If I could make a final point on that. I think the Speaker perhaps needs a civics lesson, certainly needs a science lesson, but might benefit from a mathematics lesson. There are 247 Republicans in the House of Representatives. It takes 218 votes to pass a bill. They know they can't do it with their own caucus. They're going to need Democrats to pass anything because they have a group over there that would not vote to turn the lights on in the morning if they had a choice. And so if they really are serious about making sure that we fund the essential functions of government, take a paid-for provision to rescue people in Flint from a tragedy that they never imagined that they had nothing to do with, they're going to need Democratic votes to do that. And they better get real serious about finding where those Democratic votes are going to be. From what I'm hearing from my colleagues in the House, they're going to have a hard time persuading us of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.